The sting of betrayal. They met your gaze, grinned, and plunged the knife into your back, not just once, but again and again. You placed your faith in them, and they shattered your world. Now it's time to face the harsh reality of betrayal. You offered them your time, your devotion, your very soul, and in exchange they handed you deception, silence, or the cruelest cut of all, apathy. Betrayal doesn't always roar. Sometimes it slips in quietly, a gentle smile masking a deliberate retreat. You felt it, stepping into a room and shrinking, not because you've diminished, but because someone you relied on pulled the rug from under you. This isn't mere hurt. This is devastation at the hands of those you never thought capable of it. And now the choice is yours. What comes after the collapse? No softening the blow today. No evasion. Only confrontation. You're not the only one bearing this invisible burden, but few dare to do what you're doing, facing it, dissecting it, and rising stronger. Betrayal isn't just a single act, it's an unveiling. It strips away illusions, revealing the true character of those around us and testing our very definition of trust. In this video, we'll explore the 3 most unforgivable betrayals in relationships, rooted in the enduring wisdom of Stoicism. Drop a comment below. I choose truth over betrayal. Every man has at some point found himself alone, replaying the past, questioning why those he gave the most to were the quickest to abandon him, or worse, the ones who deepened the wound. You've been steadfast, you've been present, you've given freely. Yet the deepest cuts often come from those who once offered warmth. That ache, it's not fragility, it's the disbelief of a man who anticipated integrity and was handed manipulation instead. Stoicism reminds us, peace isn't handed to us, it's forged. And today, piece by piece, you'll reconstruct yourself, steadier, wiser, unbreakable. The world doesn't need more men who turn a blind eye. It demands men who see with clarity, move with purpose, and reject betrayal, no matter how artfully it's wrapped. If you've ever felt exploited, deceived, or emotionally depleted, this video is your reflection and your guide. By the end, you won't just recognize betrayal, you'll know exactly how to transcend it. 1. Disloyalty. There's a moment etched into every man's memory, not just the betrayal itself, but the instant he watched someone he trusted prioritize themselves over him. If you've lived long enough, you've sensed that chilling shift in the air, the quiet that screams louder than any words. And in that moment, a part of you hardens forever. Loyalty and self-respect, not in a loud or aggressive manner, but with a quiet acceptance. The part of you that trusted blindly no longer lives. And if no one has made it clear to you yet, betrayal is never accidental. It's not a miscommunication. It's a deliberate choice, made with full awareness. If you don't train yourself to recognize it for what it truly is, it will keep undermining your peace, your self-assurance, your masculinity, and your future. Most men are never taught this truth. Loyalty from others only follows once you've established unwavering loyalty to yourself. If you allow people to remain in your life who abandon you when you're down or speak differently about you behind your back, you're not just accepting disrespect. You're telling your own soul that it's worthless. And there's no recovery from that until you choose to permanently raise your standards, not out of spite, not to make a statement, but because you finally understood that the price of keeping the wrong people close is far higher than the temporary loneliness of walking away. If you believe cutting ties is too harsh, ask yourself, what's truly more cruel? Temporarily hurting someone's feelings or spending a lifetime doubting whether the people around you genuinely care, because the reality is, if they truly loved you, you wouldn't have to question it. Loyalty isn't just about staying, it's about standing by someone unconditionally, even when they're no longer beneficial to you, even when they fail, even when there's nothing left to gain. And if you're the only one being loyal in your relationships, that's not devotion, It's self-betrayal masked as love. No man can fully focus on his purpose while surrounded by those who secretly envy him, compete with him, or only appear when they need something. Pay attention to the energy when you share your victories. If the people closest to you can't genuinely celebrate your success, you've already surpassed them. This isn't about becoming cold or distrustful. It's about becoming discerning. If you're not yet the kind of man who picks up on the subtle signs, the shift in their tone when you win, their absence when you struggle, how your name only comes up when you're not there, then start observing closely. Guarding yourself against betrayal. The strongest defense against betrayal: watch before you invest. The first time someone reveals they're not for you, don't wait for a second confirmation. This isn't about becoming harsh or bitter. It's about controlling access. Stop justifying your boundaries. Stop rescuing people who leap into the same flames, then accuse you of not dragging them out. If that sounds ruthless, it's only because you've been conditioned to feel guilty for finally choosing yourself. But here's the truth. Loyalty without limits isn't devotion, it's servitude. And once you realize that, everything shifts. You no longer crave approval. You stop pleading to be understood. Instead, you draw in people who already recognize your value. Those who don't need reminders to stand by you, who don't waver when you're at your weakest. Where to start? Take inventory. Treat your life like a business. Who's depositing into it? Who's draining it? Who's faithful to your face but absent when you're not around? Who celebrates your victories but ignores the grind? Who admires your strength but scoffs at your struggles? Once you spot them, no drama is needed, just distance. Yes, it'll feel uneasy at first. Yes, you'll feel alone. But that isolation is temporary. The peace that replaces it, permanent. How to become unshakable. Train yourself to stop reacting emotionally to betrayal and start responding strategically. True loyalty is proven in silence. If you want loyal people around you, be loyal first. To your principles, your time, your standards, and above all, your peace. If you've been betrayed before, remember, it wasn't your fault for trusting, but it is your responsibility not to repeat the mistake. The next time you face betrayal, and you will, stay composed. Stop expecting others to match your integrity. Prepare for the day they won't. How? Stop listening to words. Start observing actions. Silence strength and the cost of deception. You step back and let people show you who they are. You don't react to disrespect. You respond with action. You meet their gaze, not with anger, but with the quiet certainty of a man who needs no explanation because he already knows the truth. And that truth comes from a life of discipline, where your word carries weight, where loyalty is something people earn, not something you hand out freely, where your circle is chosen, not just accepted by default. If you ever feel the urge to confront someone who betrayed you just to make them understand, ask yourself, what do I gain by explaining myself to someone who already decided I wasn't worth their loyalty? The reality is, explanations are for those who plan to stay. Clarity is for those who choose to walk away. When someone shows you where they stand, believe them and keep moving. Not because you're weak, but because you've learned that peace speaks louder than chaos. If you want that peace, you have to destroy the part of you that keeps excusing people who would abandon you without a second thought. True emotional strength begins with silence when provoked, restraint when insulted, action when doubted, and holding on to your power when they expect you to lose control, because disloyal people don't just break your trust, they thrive on your reaction. The hardest truth you'll ever face. Not everyone who hurt you feels remorse. Some are waiting to see if you'll crawl back, and you can't give them that satisfaction. Not if you want a life where your energy is sacred, your focus unshaken, and your loyalty given only to those who've proven they deserve it. If you're wondering where to start, define what loyalty means to you. Write it down, live by it, and most importantly, demand it in return. Deception, the slowest betrayal. Some betrayals don't come as a single stab in the back. They slice you open slowly, with a smile. The deepest wounds aren't from the blows you see coming, but the ones delivered while they look you in the eye. That's deception. The anatomy of deception. It's not just a single lie, not merely infidelity or a broken vow. It's a calculated pattern of manipulation disguised as care. If you've ever been deceived by someone you trusted, a lover, a friend, a family member, you know the deepest wound isn't the lie itself. It's the sickening realization that they weaponized your trust, exploiting it without hesitation to serve their own ends. This isn't about omission, this is about strategy. She didn't just conceal the truth, she mapped your vulnerabilities, used your affection as cover, fed you carefully crafted half-truths to keep you disoriented, while she did exactly what you dreaded. Maybe it was secret conversations, backhanded gossip shared behind your back, or constructing an entire hidden life where you were irrelevant. Society will preach forgiveness, urge you to see her side, to let it go. But what they won't admit? Deception doesn't just hurt, it distorts your reality. If you don't actively repair that damage, you'll begin doubting your own judgment. You'll question what you saw, what you heard, even what you felt, because she lied so smoothly, so effortlessly, that your instincts falter. That's how you vanish, piece by piece, doubt by doubt. The illusion of closure. The fatal error men make after betrayal. Believing closure comes from hearing the truth. But sometimes the truth was always there, in your gut, the first time something felt off. You just lacked the courage to trust it. To break free from a liar's psychological hold, you must stop granting them the benefit of the doubt, once their behavior has already revealed who they are. The most dangerous deceiver isn't the one who spins outrageous tales. It's the one who mixes just enough truth to keep you unbalanced. The one who rewrites your memory with phrases like, "You're overreacting. That's not what I meant. Why can't you just let it go?" They punish you for questioning while hiding behind performative honesty. And you know the type. The way out one. Stop negotiating with their version of reality. Your intuition warned you. Stop gaslighting yourself to spare their image. 2. Accept that some people don't lie by accident. They lie by habit. Their remorse lasts only as long as they're caught. 3. Rebuild your discernment. Trust isn't naivety. It's earned access, granted only to those whose actions match their words. The goal isn't cynicism, it's clarity, because the man who sees deception early isn't paranoid. He's prepared, and that's the only true defense. The anatomy of deception and the path to freedom. The friend who shares laughs with you while whispering doubts to others. The partner who holds your hand across the table while sending someone else affectionate goodnights. The relative who embraces you warmly in company but tears you down behind closed doors. These are the people who condition you to mistake silence for peace and confusion for understanding. And that's precisely where your power bleeds away, drop by drop, as you question your own judgment while they keep the truth just beyond your grasp. To break free from deception's web, begin here. Trust behavior, not words. Words are the cheapest currency in the liar's economy, but patterns never counterfeit. When someone's actions consistently reveal secrecy, shifting stories, or half-truths, that isn't a red flag. It's a flashing neon sign. And no, you don't need forensic evidence or a confession. By the time you're playing detective, you've already surrendered your peace and handed them the reins. A man grounded in strength doesn't waste energy exposing lies. He removes liars, not with rage, but with quiet finality. Not with drama, but with the unshakable certainty of someone who knows his worth. This isn't about becoming cold or closed off. It's about treating your inner circle like the sacred space it is, because your peace is your life. If you've ever been trapped in a relationship where the other person danced just outside the reach of accountability, always offering just enough explanation to avoid blame, but never enough transparency to foster real trust. You know how it hollows you out. It's more than emotional damage. It's mental quicksand. You lose nights dissecting conversations, agonizing over what was real, what was fabricated. But here's the hard truth. You'll never understand a liar's motives unless you share their warped values. If you operate in loyalty and truth, their deception will always feel like a foreign language. Stop trying to decode them. Start designing your exit, your playbook. 1. The small lie rule. When someone lies about something trivial, assume they'll lie about everything. This isn't cynicism, it's self-preservation. Honesty isn't situational, and neither should your trust be. 2. Spot the unspoken lies. Deception isn't always verbal. Watch for the gaps, the withheld details, the sudden over-explaining, the timelines that never add up. Notice when simple questions are met with deflection or guilt-tripping. If seeking clarity makes you the villain, you're not dealing with love, you're facing manipulation. 3. Make peace non-negotiable. Build a life where serenity is your foundation. No amount of history, chemistry, or potential justifies trading truth for temporary comfort. That comfort will always cost you your clarity, and without clarity, you're gambling with everything: your purpose, your discipline, your sanity. Final truth. Liars don't change. They just refine their tactics. Your power lies in refusing to be their audience. Walk away not because you're weak, but because you've learned the most devastating reply to deception is a life lived so well, their lies become irrelevant. The slow poison of repeated chances. If you've been there, you know how easily one more chance turns into 10. Before you realize it, you're accepting behavior you once swore you'd never tolerate. Not because you're weak, but because deception works in whispers, not shouts. It chips away at your resolve, redraws your boundaries, and distorts your understanding of love, loyalty, and peace, until you forget what they're supposed to feel like. So if you're reading this and thinking of someone who's lied to you again and again, ask yourself, why do I keep giving them access? What am I truly afraid of losing? Is that fear worth the damage they're doing to my soul? If the answer is no, then you already know what to do. The liar's last act. When you finally walk away, expect them to rewrite history. They'll call you cold, unreasonable, or claim you're the one who changed. Let them talk. Liars can't survive in the light of truth. The more firmly you stand in what you saw, what you felt, and what you refuse to accept, the more you'll attract people who have nothing to hide and everything to offer. Rebuilding yourself after the fall. Healing from deception isn't just about cutting them off, it's about cutting off the part of you that tolerated it, the part that clung to their excuses, ignored the facts, and hoped against logic. In its place, build a man who doesn't need constant reassurance, values actions over words, creates space between stimulus and response, walks away when his peace is threatened, not out of anger, but because his peace is priceless, the ultimate test of truth. Want to know if someone's deceiving you? Watch what they do when they think you're not looking. That's who they really are. You owe it to yourself to trust what you see, not just what you hear. The man who ignores the evidence and stays, he becomes complicit in his own betrayal, and the world doesn't pity that man. It uses him, drains him, and discards him. Don't be that man. Be the one who chooses truth, even when it's hard, trusts his gut, even without proof, demands honesty not as a request, but as a non-negotiable standard. 3. Emotional manipulation. There's a betrayal that never appears as a direct lie or physical act. It lives in tones, silences, strategic tears, and perfectly timed guilt trips. It doesn't break you in one blow. It erodes you, drop by drop. The silent war of emotional manipulation. It happens gradually, weeks, months, sometimes years slipping by until the day you wake up and realize You've been loving someone who was quietly training you to distrust yourself, all while smiling warmly in your direction. Because emotional manipulation doesn't always announce itself with screams or violence. Often it arrives in hushed tones, wrapped in concern, "I'm only saying this because I care," as it systematically dismantles your confidence in your own intentions, reactions, and gut instincts. If you've ever been in a relationship where every attempt to address an issue was met with a script flip, where suddenly your tone, your timing, or your attitude became the problem, then you felt the suffocating weight of manipulation masquerading as communication. For men, this is especially disorienting. When you're physically strong but emotionally destabilized, it creates a unique frustration, like fighting a battle where the rules shift mid-swing, leaving your strength useless against an opponent who refuses to engage fairly. The cruelty of emotional manipulation lies in its precision. The manipulator studies you, learns your insecurities, maps your triggers, and presses just the right buttons to cultivate confusion and shame. Their goal isn't to break you, but to control you, to craft a reality where they're perpetually the wounded party and you're forever on trial. You apologize to keep the peace. You walk on eggshells to avoid the next landmine. You silence yourself to escape the exhausting circular conversations that leave you more drained than before. This isn't love. It's psychological warfare dressed as affection, a control tactic so subtle you start doubting your own suspicions. Over time, it becomes your normal. You shrink to fit their narrative, adopting their definitions of your motives, their retelling of events, their rewritten history of your actions. And if you don't stop it early, the damage goes deep. You lose the ability to trust your own emotions, your memories, even your sense of right and wrong. What does this look like in practice? A partner who constantly measures you against their ex, leaving you feeling perpetually inadequate. Someone who dismisses your concerns with "you're too sensitive" or "you're overreacting," then plays the martyr when you push back. A dynamic where you're always the one apologizing even when you've done nothing wrong. They may never raise their voice, they may never lay a hand on you, but the scars are real because they've convinced you that your feelings are the issue, not their behavior. The escape plan. 1. Name the game. Recognize that if someone consistently makes you feel like the villain in your own story, you're not in a relationship, you're in a cage. 2. Reclaim your reality. Refuse to let anyone else define your intentions or emotions. Your perspective is valid. Your instincts matter. 3. Set non-negotiable boundaries. If a conversation repeatedly leaves you feeling twisted inside, disengage. You don't owe anyone endless chances to gaslight you. 4. Walk away from the war. The strongest move isn't fighting back, it's removing yourself from the battlefield entirely. Manipulators need engagement to thrive. Starve them of it. The path to freedom begins when you decide no one gets to weaponize your kindness, your patience, or your love ever again. Your peace is worth more than their drama. The theater of emotional manipulation. To trust what you see, to honor what you feel without apology, to recognize that your discomfort isn't always your fault. Sometimes it's just the emotional fallout of someone else's calculated game. If you're entangled with someone who turns on tears like a faucet, pulls out past trauma the second they're held accountable, guilt trips you for setting boundaries, then you're not in a relationship, you're in a performance. You've been cast as the supporting actor in their drama, where they're eternally the hero or the victim, never the villain. The mask of the manipulator. The cruelest part. Manipulators aren't mustache-twirling monsters. They're often wounded, intelligent, even magnetic. To truly break free, you must starve the toxic dynamic of its power source, your emotional engagement. Respond with calm, unshakable truth instead of desperate justification. They'll accuse you of being cold, of changing, of no longer being the person they once knew. Good. That's the point. You have changed. You've outgrown the version of yourself that tolerated their games. Anyone who needs you to remain small, uncertain, and emotionally pliable to feel secure doesn't love you. They love the control you gave them. The deep work of healing. 1. Cut the internal wiring. Breaking free isn't just about leaving the manipulator. It's about dismantling the part of you that accepted this treatment. Ask yourself, oh, where did I learn that love requires walking on eggshells? Oh, when did I start believing that being chronically misunderstood was normal? This isn't about blame. It's about reclaiming your emotional autonomy. 2. Build an emotional fortress. Not walls to isolate yourself, but standards so clear they filter out manipulation before it takes root. Surround yourself with people who, listen without weaponizing your vulnerability. Respect your boundaries without negotiation. Apologize without being cornered into it. Challenge you with respect, not contempt. 3. Reclaim your self-talk. How you treat yourself sets the blueprint for how others treat you. Stop glorifying endurance in toxic situations. Suffering is not noble when it only enables harm. Ask, do I grant myself permission to walk away, or do I guilt myself into staying? Do I trust my discomfort, or do I rationalize it away? The unmistakable signs of manipulation. They punish you for having needs, e.g., you're too demanding. They deflect accountability, e.g., why are you always bringing up the past? They reward breakdowns with affection, love bombing after they've pushed you to the edge. They turn disagreements into character assassinations, e.g., you're just insecure, controlling, crazy. The way out. You don't fix manipulation by loving them harder. You end it by loving yourself enough to walk away without closure. Their confusion is not your responsibility. Rebuild around those who cherish clarity, people who don't fear your boundaries. Protect your peace like your life depends on it, because it does. Once you've tasted real peace, relationships where you're heard, not gaslit, valued, not exploited, you'll never again mistake manipulation for love. The greatest revenge is a life so rooted in truth that their games seem childish in hindsight. That's freedom. The rebirth of a man who knows peace. If you've made it this far, you're not just watching a video, you're waking up. You're finally listening to the quiet voice in your gut that's been screaming at you for years. And before we go any further, I need you to sit with this truth. You weren't weak for trusting. You weren't foolish for staying. You weren't blind for believing. It meant you had heart. It meant you were loyal. It meant you loved without reservation. And now, it means you're wise enough to never let it happen again. The silent revenge of a life well lived. The best revenge isn't rage or retaliation. It's building a life so unshakable, so rooted in truth, that deception and manipulation wither in your presence. No drama, no grand exits, just quiet strength, the kind that comes from knowing exactly what you will and won't tolerate. I know you've endured betrayals you've never spoken about. I know you've swallowed pain because you were told real men don't cry. But those lies end here. Healing begins when you stop protecting the people who hurt you and start protecting the man you're becoming. Your line in the sand. If you're ready, truly ready, to reclaim your peace, to guard your spirit, and to rebuild your confidence, not from ego but from unflinching clarity, then I need you to do something right now. Comment below. Never again. Just those 2 words. Say it, type it, own it. Let it be the moment your old self ends and your new life begins. Why this matters? If you're here, I know you're not like most. You're not looking for distractions. You're searching for something real. And that's what this space is for. Not entertainment, not platitudes, transformation. If even one sentence in this video hit you like a lightning bolt, if it made you feel seen, understood, or finally ready to change, then don't just walk away with that feeling. Act on it. Like this video, drop a comment, share it with one person who needs to hear it. When you do, you're not just supporting me, you're reaching the man who's still stuck, still silent, still thinking he's alone. You're proving there's a brotherhood of men who refuse comfort, lies in exchange for hard truths, men who grow on purpose, lead with integrity, love with discernment, build with loyalty, walk in power, not ego. If that's you, hit subscribe right now. Not because I asked, but because every click makes these truths reach one more man who's still fighting his way out of the dark. Maybe today, you're that man. But tomorrow, you'll be the one who pulls others up with you. That's the mission. Real talk, real change. A world where strong men rise not through force, but through truth. Never again. Now go type it. On fire.